Okay, so got a package here. Got a nice ampersand canvas. So when I start a new painting, I get the canvas and I like to get it open, and I'm going to tape up the sides. Now, before I do anything with transferring my drawing onto the panel, I'd like to tone it with a raw sienna primer. This is from Michael Harding. This is definitely the best one to get. So I'm going to just do that now quickly, let it dry, and then I can transfer the tracing onto the panel. So the idea of this is to get rid of the white background. Sometimes it can be quite jarring to paint your colours on top of white. Now, to get rid of some of these lines, as you can see, it's slightly textured, and that can actually be quite distracting. So what I like to do is just get a tissue, and I'm just going to rub it in while it's slightly wet, and it kind of strips away those lines and smooths it all out. Just doing this helps ensure that the canvas is fully toned with no unnecessary distractions. So while I wait for the toning to dry, I just want to quickly show you the panel I'm working on. It's this. It is an ampersand artist panel. It's a really good brand, I recommend. Not sponsored, but have used them for years, and highly recommend using those panels. This is what I use as a tracing. So this is just a digital sketch that I've created on Procreate on my iPad. I've printed it off to size, stuck them all together, pencil sketched the background, so then when I lay this over the top of the panel over here, I can trace over everything, and this is just my way of quickly getting down what I've done. The quicker I paint, the better. I recommend just getting down your sketch as quickly as possible to the canvas. Yeah, you can use the grid method, but I sometimes, if it's small enough, I like to just trace over everything. So then, yeah, I'm not even thinking about it, I'm just doing. So now that I've got it stuck on and in place, I just need to go over all the lines. Now, I don't go over everything, I don't need to go over everything. I just want to make sure I'm getting in like the subjects and parts of the landscape. I don't have to do these squiggly details. Even in the sketch, I didn't go crazy with them. Once I start adding paint, I can introduce those details, but I don't need to focus on that now. With all landscape paintings, I like to start by painting the backgrounds first. I start with the sky and move my way forward, remembering not to push the tonal values too bright. This will allow me to make changes and push towards the tonal best, or in other words, the lightest light. Gouache is an opaque medium, but I like that if you add water, the gouache will become transparent. I use this to my advantage in this stage to build up layers gradually. While blocking in the mountain, I focus on where the light source is coming from and implement cooler tones for the shadows and warmer tones for the highlights to create contrast. To create depth, I use more saturated and detailed colours in the foreground and lighter, less defined colours for the distant mountains. This helps reinforce the atmospheric perspective by adding a slight blue or grey wash to the distant mountains. Okay, so I think I'm going to call it a day for day one. I have been working on the mountains in the background. I made some good progress. One thing to note about when you paint distance is that you shouldn't use as much yellow as you should. Push all the tones to more violet and blue, and this will give a nice sense of depth within your painting. So when I work forward into the foreground, I'm going to make sure I really bring out those bright, warm colours like yellow and red and orange, but in the background I'm trying to resist my use of yellow. Okay, so it is now Monday. I took a day or two off and I'm going to continue on. I'm going to aim to do the background, sort that out today, sort the clouds out, and then I can slowly work my way forward. I continued on with adding to the mountains and sky, focusing on building upon the layers and introducing a warmer hue to the sunlit areas. I then worked on painting Bender, the first character of this piece. I painted Bender in a similar manner in my 2022 painting called The Fallen, which features a giant Bender, rusted and covered in foliage, fallen on a hillside. I've been toying with the idea that all things man-made eventually return back to the earth. No matter how solid we think things we make are, they become fragile and decay over time. Bender represents this process and is why he is depicted again within this painting. For the line work, I make sure not to use black. Instead, I mix a dark blue with a hint of white to ensure the lines feel distant, giving a sense of scale to the painting. Okay, so I'm going to work on the foreground now. I did really well yesterday. I made good progress in the background. I've pretty much finished it. I can always go back to it once it's fully painted over and I can just tweak a few things. But yeah, day 3 and I'm ready to get on with it. Now that the background is mostly complete, I can work on the main subjects of this painting, the bears. Over the years, I've learnt that with any subject, a good place to start is with the shadows, and then work towards the light. I personally can get easily overwhelmed when painting anything furry. It can be harder to look at the overall forms through the detail. My solution is to use a bigger brush at first. Then once you're ready for the details, reduce the size of your brush. I'm also thinking in this stage to saturate my colours, allowing more oranges and yellows to come through. This helps ensure the viewer is seeing the sun hit the subjects, making them stand out from the blue and violet tinted background. Okay, so it's day 4 now, and I've made really good progress yesterday. I got on with the bear and I started most of the foreground, and now I'm going to work from left to right today. Hopefully I can get this part in a good place today, and then maybe tomorrow I can start pushing myself along to the right side of the painting. But it's looking really good. I'm really happy with it right now, and yeah, let's get on with it. 4 days into this painting and I'm slowly getting there with the foreground. Using the same technique as yesterday, I build up shadows, then work towards the light. The cub of the mother bear has found a lost Bart toy and is curious as to what it is. Again, the narrative of this painting shows the relationship between humans and the natural world. Like Bender in the background, humans leave behind things all the time, some of which hold memories and moments of a person's life. This is represented in the Bart toy. I love the idea of this and have made sure to remind the viewer by painting one of the cubs directly looking at one of the man-made objects. Alright, so it's day 5 now, and we've made nice progress. I started adding in like this kind of stream of water that's flowing down the mountain. I'm trying to figure out the lighting. Because I only have 2 to 3 hours today of working, I'm going to just try to get colour down on this side of the painting, so then next week I can look at it and go over everything. That is the plan, and let's get on with it. Today, knowing I had limited time in the studio, I decided to push myself to block in the rest of the painting. I began working on Astro Boy's head, buried in the earth. I wanted to create a secondary narrative within this painting, juxtaposing 2 very different cartoon robots, Astro Boy and Bender. Astro Boy explores the relationship between humans and technology.
embodying the potential for machines to possess empathy, kindness, and a sense of justice. Unlike many portrayals of robots as obedient, logical, and morally upright, Bender is selfish, hedonistic, and often immoral. He flips the traditional image of robots as helpers or protectors, instead embodying human flaws like greed and laziness. As a painter, I feel it is our job to create narratives within our paintings. No matter what it is, introducing juxtaposing features only helps to make the overall painting captivating to the viewer.
Okay, so I have tried my best today to do about an hour and a half of work, and I think I'm going to call it. I'm just a bit tired today, I guess. This usually happens in the process of painting a bigger piece. I have good momentum at the start and then I start to slow down. Yeah, I think I'm just going to allow that to happen. Take like a day or two off, but I've made a good foundation for when I do return to this painting. In the past, I've definitely ignored that and I've pushed on. Yeah, sure, I could probably do a lot more today, but I think I'm gonna just leave it at that. Okay, day 6, and I had a nice break over the weekend, and I'm just gonna continue on today. I've laid all the foundation last week, and it's just a matter of just adding a bit more detail to everything, really. I'm gonna see how much I can get through, and yeah, let's go.
Alright, so now that I've finished up on the base layer of the painting, I can now build layers of detail. Following the same process as the sky and mountains of the background, I thin out my paint with water, making the gouache transparent to help me build depth and detail. I make sure to refer back to my references to make the right decisions in this stage. I can easily forget to do that and make things up instead. This only creates small mistakes that make the overall painting lose some of its magic. Referring back to the references helps maintain a level of understanding to the subjects you're trying to depict. Reality is not something that you can make up, so you have to make this a habit.
Alright, so it's day 7 now, and I feel like I could finish it today. I'm not sure, but I'm going to try my best to just knuckle down and really go for it today. There's a lot more detail to go through, but if I really get on with it today, the time is 11:38 a.m. Yeah, we're going to try do a solid maybe 7 hours of painting today. Let's get it. I'm really excited to finish this one. We're close. We're really close now. So yeah, I'm going to try and knuckle down and get on with it.
Alright, so this might be the best part of the process. All the hard work is done, and now I just need to refine and add the final details. All of the painting up until this point has set the stage for the colours to pop in this part. I make sure to bring out the tonal best, really pushing the colours' vibrancy here. For example, each leaf hitting the sunlight, I make sure to pay extra attention to, helping the viewer understand where the light is coming from. I then go over certain things that I feel needs a little more work. In most cases, a simple highlight is all I need to do as a finishing touch.
Alright, so it is 6:07 p.m. So I've done a solid 6 hours of work today, and I'm going to call it. I think it's done. I will have a look in the morning and go over certain aspects of this just to see if I'm liking it or not, and if I don't, I can always tweak it, but I'm going to call it for today. As an artist, when you're painting, you can look at a painting that you're doing and then sleep and then come back to it, and you see certain things that you didn't see the day before. So I always try to allow myself to know that I can change certain things. For now, I'm just going to leave it, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay, so it is the next day, and I've had a look over with some fresh eyes, and I think it is done. I'm going to leave it how it is. I'm really happy with it, so I'm not going to mess with it anymore.
So that was 7 days of painting. I estimate this took around 30 to 35 hours of solid work to complete, and in the end I painted something that I'm really proud of. This painting is called 1,000 Miles From Home and will be exhibited at ABV Gallery next month. Keep an eye on my Instagram or Artsy for the release. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and yeah, I can't wait to paint more like this year. This is the first painting of 2025, and I wanted to set a high standard for myself so that, you know, throughout the year I'm really pushing myself to get better and really yeah, work on my skills and really show them off. Yeah, there you go.